Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for clicking in. This time we're going to be talking about Abiotic Factor. Yes, we do talk about survival craft games, not only space games, but we do love survival crafts. And next to me is this beautiful man, Cmdr.Trusin, be joining me. We'll be talking about Abiotic Factor. Dude, how's it going?
Hey man, nobody's ever called me beautiful before.
Well, there's a first time for everything, and I am that first.
You're my first. Congratulations.
Yeah. So, dude, Abiotic Factor, this was a fluke. It wound up as a gift one day in my Steam inbox. I'm like, oh, he bought me this game. We started playing it. Now I keep thinking about it. What do you think it is? How would we classify Abiotic Factor, and why do you think it's a little addictive?
Okay, so it is. It's really a survival craft at its core, and I mean, there's a whole storyline there, like escape the lab. But if you were to replace the whole lab scene with just like any open world with trees and bushes, and you had all the same mechanics, it would essentially be very identical to one. But it has a charm to it, and for me, it is that they followed the Half-Life kind of nostalgia.
Oh yeah.
So it's really like low key like 90s graphics for
late 90s graphics.
Yeah, for first person shooters, and that's charming. Even the noises, like even the sounds and the atmosphere and the environment.
Yeah. For me, it is a survival craft, but what I realized when I was explaining to my friend Quigs the other day is that it's the survival craft without the building, but it's the tables. Usually survival crafts have a place where you like build things, and in this game it's the tables. Like you want to upgrade your tables as you go through this underground facility. Not an open world, but hey, there's a lot of things to kind of scrounge around, and it also kind of has that like fantasy element. Like if you were to get locked into a mall during the zombie apocalypse, you'd probably try to make a safe space and some clothing store, like I don't know, and barricade the front door in. That's what this game fulfills. There's like that like indoor massive facility fantasy of like how would you survive inside a mall. Well, this is like a whole underground, like it has an office, so that's not really a spoiler because you're in the office the very first part of the game. And then there's a couple other things, but I think that adds to the charm that you're talking about. Is like not only is it like our 90s Half-Life bunker game, but it's got that fantasy, like that indoor survival fantasy.
Well, it is open world in the to the extent that, I mean, as you progress, you have more and more freedom of where you want to go, what you want to do, and the world reacts to you. Even areas that you have explored already might have new creatures in them, or might have a new effect that is kind of changed the world, and definitely new areas that unlock as you progress. So it just opens up this wider and wider and wider world, and it has that thing that we so much like in these types of games, the silent lore.
Oh, we love silent lore. And I was making this comparison too. It's this underground bunker, and it has sections, and I would almost relate those sections to like when you're playing Legend of Zelda and you go to the water temple, and then you go to like the fire temple, and then you go to like the forest temple. Like we have like the office, then there's like the manufacturing, but then you can still backtrack. Like you're saying, you could backtrack, and like there's still new fresh things popping up in the older areas when you navigate. Would you make that relation as well, kind of?
Yeah, for sure. It's you could potentially set up shop in one location and always come back to that location, or you could be nomadic and kind of roam your way around the lab spaces, bringing all your stuff with you. And there's different play styles, I think, there that make it kind of interesting. Being a builder, I always find a place and just set up shop. But
Yeah, I took your role in our playthrough, and I got to tell you, I feel a little out of place sometimes, especially when you guys are chuckling at me.
oh yeah, I'm the medic in that one, and it's really strange. I feel like I don't have things to do.
You're always like building and engineering stuff. And speaking of the roles, man, this kind of had at the very beginning of the game, you can choose like a role, which essentially gives you like a lot of points geared towards a certain like activity. For instance, you like building, and I wound up being like the muscly melee tank. at the beginning. Is that kind of like a D&D mechanic as you open this up, or would you just relate it to more of like an RPG that you play?
I think it's more akin to an RPG, and it's not that. And so in these roles, you can do everything, but the roles, just the things that you do more of, you just get better at and more proficient at. Now, I like that system. I think that they didn't take it far enough for my likings, in the sense that, and then too, they made the experience grind. Like I get upset if somebody else heals themselves or heals somebody else, because that's precious XP I could have had, and
Yeah.
and I'm the best at it, so I should be doing it, and that kind of thing. And so I don't necessarily know how to balance that out, but I do love this. I love skill systems when they add skills and be like, hey, I can see special fish spots that nobody else can see, and I know this is a great place to fish right here, or I can pick people up faster off the ground because I'm just that kind of a medic.
I did notice too when I was selecting stats at the beginning, some of those stats are so unique and percentage based, and you will not be able to recoup that no matter how much you play the game. Like, for instance, one of them is like you get experience just faster. That's something that
Well, you're talking perks versus skills.
Oh yes, I am. I was talking about the perks.
Right. So the roles are more skill aligned, though I guess they could also be associated with perks. But so what's your favorite perk?
Oh man, I don't really have a favorite perk yet. Although if I open the game, I'd probably gravitate towards, I like thick skin because I hated bleeding, and that's something like that's not a skill you can increase.
Right.
Like you only get one.
Well, actually,
chance
it is your fortitude. I think reduces
Really?
chance of injury. Yeah.
Gotta play the game more. I thought I knew more.
Yeah. So mine's the fanny pack. I just love having more hot bar slots. And you think it doesn't make too much of a difference, but an extra 2 slots is huge.
It does.
Especially since the stuff on your, I don't know if you're aware of this, the stuff on your hot bar, the weight of it is divided by 2.
Yes, I did notice that. Like hanging off your hip, almost like hiking backpacks do that. Hiking, like a real life hiking backpack, is meant to put more weight on your hips than on your shoulders.
Yeah,
and
I think that's probably the idea, I guess. But yeah, there's all kinds of little quirky things like that in the game that make it fun to discover, explore, because it also doesn't hold your hand and tell you this stuff. Like, you just figure it out.
Yeah, you do. Like I had to put a whole bunch of heavy stuff in my backpack and then run around with it just to increase my strength. I'm like, why is my strength going up? Oh, okay, that's how it goes up. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't look online at a guide or something, it's actually kind of rewarding to figure out what the game is trying to get you to do.
Yeah, it's around every corner there's like new surprises. You're always facing new challenges every time you enter into new areas.
And another thing that I like about this game, like there's a game loop where it's like you go out, you go into a new area, you find items that you can help upgrade what you have already, and then you have to bring it back to your base, and then at your base you kind of craft everything up, you get ready for your next outing, and it's almost like this, it simulates this cadence that we actually have as humans, or like, let's say, men hunting, right? You go out and you hunt, and then you find the animal and you kill it, you skin it, you bring it back, and you feed the village, right? And that cadence is in this game, but it's not like hunting, but it's like getting items, getting whatever you're looking for. And I think that's kind of a fun aspect. And in this particular survival craft, I think it does it pretty well.
Yeah, and I think it's because every section has special materials that progress you as a unit in what you can build and what you're capable of building, and that's a great way of doing it. And I think I think Enshrouded kind of does that too with their regions. Like every time you go into a new region, there's like new resources, and it kind of gives
like
you new
plant grows in that area.
Yeah, and you get new recipes when you pick that stuff up. It's very similar in games that do that, where because then that makes you feel like, aside from the skill system, you're always progressing because you're learning new recipes, discovering new items. It's just a great mechanic and game loop to have that cycle. Now, the downside to it is that there's an end, right? There's a last region, and once you hit that, then it's kind of like, oh well, we're done, you know. So unlike some other open world games where it's just about exploring, and it's kind of like what Trey, like No Man's Sky. There isn't
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say that.
learning new recipe thing. It's just open exploration, and it's kind of like, okay, well, if there was that element of discovering new things, but then you would have an end, would people stop playing it when they discovered everything, right? And hey, you still have a whole galaxy to explore, but you feel like it's over because you've discovered all the things. I don't know.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say, this particular game, it's a campaign. It's a co-op campaign. I think it's 6 players. So yes, it has to end, but I think the journey to how it ends, like if you wanted to play the game again, you would take a different role. You might make your base in a different spot. You might want to optimize how you get through the game because it is fun. I would definitely do it again, and there's definitely one section with fog that was hilarious that we went through. So I guess, you know, you have fun playing the journey, do it differently, pick it up, do it again. That's what this kind of game is. Like you get to go through a whole different experience, like some RPGs do that. Like you don't get a different story, but you get a different play style. And I think that's what, you know, this game does have a finite end, and sometimes that's just healthy. I don't want to play a game forever. So I think that's a good thing. And if you get different people and you choose different roles, it could be fun all over again. It's just except you kind of know where everything is.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I've been having a blast. You know, I play with you guys, with the crew, and then I have my my chaos team that I think I put a video out of us playing. So
Yeah, he's got 45 minutes on this channel, guys. If you want to go check out that video, it'll probably be on the end slide of this video. But hey, man, I think I'm good. This is a great game. It's a good survival craft game. If I were to give it a review, it's definitely worth your time. If you like survival crafts, it's a little different. It's got that Half-Life nostalgia, like you said. Can you give it some accolades or some cons?
well, I do have a question for you because you
Yeah.
saw me playing it, and you were like, "What is this?" And then you had no interest whatsoever. And I played it, and I was like, "I think you would really like this." That's why I got it for you. Otherwise, because of the way it looked, I think it turned you off. But I mean, it's charming, right? And it's fun, and you know. So what was that about?
Well, I played Half-Life, right? And Half-Life, the original Half-Life, and it had its add-ons. It had, like, you know, the Gordon Freeman. I almost said Gordon Freeman. It had the Gordon Freeman story. Then it had the Barney story. Then it had a couple add-ons, like the military story. And so I'm looking at it, and that's what I saw the playstyle was. And it's like when you're scientist too, I'm like, oh, it's gonna do like this wacky stuff, and I don't know. I feel like when I looked at the game, it had an identity crisis. But as I played the game, I'm like, it is a survival craft with tables only as a campaign. I've never played anything like that before, so I had to give it a chance. And once I understood that that's how this game operates, like there are corridors. It's not open world, but you're gonna have to get through these corridors, upgrade, get through another corridor and upgrade. It's a multiplayer campaign with survival craft elements, and it's hilarious. And the roles are really fun, asymmetrical roles. I will always give a thumbs up, especially if it's co-op because you're not competing. And I'm having a great time. Our science officer, she likes cooking for us. She likes making meds. You know, like that's what she does in other games, and she's happy doing that. And I like tanking, so I'm just wearing stuff and beating stuff up. Now I'm the builder in this other game, but it's got something for everybody. And what I couldn't pin was, like, I had a little identity crisis when it came to identifying what are you getting me into. And then
Yeah,
once I started playing it, I got it.
I don't know what higher accolade I can give it other than I buy it for all my friends.
Yeah, you have. Any cons before we, like, can we do like a pro sandwich here and then leave the
Ooh,
podcast?
cons. You know, I haven't really thought
Yeah,
about
like
it,
what?
but I don't necessarily. Oh, okay. Here's a good con. So if you don't all play together at the same time, it's easy for someone to feel left behind.
Yes, that is a con.
That's a con. Like, I like games where you can log in and feel like you're not going to leave somebody behind, but you can still kind of mess around. And you can do that, but you have to be careful because if you break into a new area or something, then you're kind of like, oh, you know, might affect people.
To that point, you know what happened to me was I was trying to do like the mundane stuff when you guys weren't on because I have the game hosted on my PC, And I was trying to like farm and do whatever, and then the events at the base happen where we're getting attacked, and I'm
And you
like, I
got our
don't have the
farm
crew.
destroyed.
Yeah, the farm got destroyed. So it's almost like that's why I'm like, you know what? I'll wait for them. But like another survival craft games like Valheim, I would just get in and I would farm. And
Right.
we had a server somewhere. I'm like, guys, I made a ton of food. Have at it.
Yeah. So I think that, and here's the thing though. Like I wouldn't want to trade the base rates because those are exciting and fun.
Yeah, they are.
But you almost would have to get rid of those in order to be able to, have people just hop in and do things like do a bunch of fishing, fill the fridge up with fish, like that kind of thing.
And I do wish there was a system, and like this is for like other survival craft games, I guess, but like a cloud save, but a mutual cloud save where people can just grab the latest save, and then like they could open up that server and play, and then essentially put it back.
Is there games that do that?
I know the Fortnite Lego does that. Like I could leave my game on their cloud server, and if somebody wants to log into the world that we created, then essentially they host it.
Yeah, you think about that. We did do that. Yeah, why doesn't Steam do that? That sounds like a great idea.
I know, right? Like hey, I want to share my cloud save for this game. With people.
Like Satisfactory could have benefited from that. Because Andy and I were always like swapping the save file back and forth.
Mutual community cloud saves. Please make it happen, Steam.
Make it so.
Make it so. I'm gonna drop the mic there, dude. I'm good talking about this game. You got any more last words?
I don't.
All right, well then I think we're happy. Guys, go pick it up. We're playing. You could reach out to us. We're still small. If you like this content, survival crafts and space games, please like and subscribe. It helps us out. We're just starting out, but we think we have a nice little niche here that we can have a community that likes exploring things. So help us out, and we'll see you in the next video.
Goodbye.
See you later.
We're Astro-Nots, a space-bound team, navigating galaxies from our PC screens, exploring new worlds and cosmic sights. Join our crew and enjoy the flight.